Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on academic research. We're going to uncover the hidden structure behind the most powerful arguments. Because the best research isn't just about finding facts. It's about building an argument so solid it can literally change how we see the world.
So that begs the question, how is it really done? How do researchers go from a massive sea of information to a single, powerful, game-changing conclusion? Well, the answer might actually surprise you.
Okay, let's break this down. On one side, you've got the common view of research, which is kind of like this frantic scramble to just collect facts, like you're filling a bucket. But the reality, it's so much more deliberate, so much more strategic. Great researchers, they're architects. They aren't just collecting random materials. They're designing a structure, building a powerful argument that's meant to stand the test of time.
To really get this, we're going to go on a little journey, an architect's journey, through 5 key stages. First, we'll reframe research as architecture itself. Then, we'll map the landscape, choose our best materials, assemble the story, and finally, connect our big creation to the real world.
First up, research as strategic architecture. This is all about a huge shift in mindset, from seeing yourself as just a data collector to really becoming a conceptual architect.
And of course, every architect needs their tools. In research, we call these analytical lenses. Think of them as special filters or instruments that we use to organize information and, most importantly, give it meaning. They let us see the same old data from completely new and powerful angles.
This quote just nails it. The whole goal is to elevate your thinking. You're not just a technician who gathers data anymore. You're an architect who strategically designs knowledge. It's a total shift in identity, and it's absolutely crucial. So, once you've got that architect's mindset, what's the first step? Well, just like any building project, it all starts with the blueprint. This is stage 2, mapping the knowledge landscape. This is where you survey the entire terrain before you even think about breaking ground. And our first tool for this is something called thematic clustering. Now, this isn't just about grouping articles by their topic. No, it's a way to uncover the hidden patterns, the recurring ideas, across a huge body of work. It helps you find those deep connections that almost everyone else might have missed.
So how's it done? The process is actually pretty straightforward. First, you just immerse yourself in all the material. You're just getting a feel for the terrain. Then, you start coding, which is basically just tagging important ideas. After that, you group those tags into bigger themes, kind of like sorting puzzle pieces by color. And finally, you step back, you review your work, and you make sure it all hangs together. It's a beautiful method for finding order in all that chaos.
Okay, our next tool is incredibly visual. It's called an evidence gap map, or EGM for short. I want you to think of this as a satellite view of the entire research landscape. It's this grid that shows you exactly what's already been built and, this is the important part, where all the empty lots are. It's literally a map that points a giant arrow at your construction site.
Here's a really simple way to picture it. Imagine a grid. The rows are different interventions, let's say new training programs. The columns are the outcomes you want, like better safety results. The filled-in cells show it's already been studied. But the most exciting parts are the empty cells. We call these absolute gaps, and for a research architect, they are a giant neon sign flashing "Build here."
Okay, so we've got our blueprint in hand. Now we move on to stage 3, building on the strongest evidence. Any architect will tell you a structure is only as good as the materials you use to build it.
And our guide for choosing those materials is the evidence pyramid. This is a classic model in research, and it ranks different types of evidence by their strength and reliability. It basically helps you check the quality of your foundation before you start laying bricks.
Think of it like this. Way up at the top, at the peak, you've got filtered evidence, like systematic reviews. These are like prefabricated, stress-tested steel beams, the absolute strongest materials you can get. Down in the middle, you have strong raw materials, like randomized trials. They're solid, for sure, but you gotta process them yourself. And then at the base, you have unfiltered evidence, like expert opinions. These can be great for inspiration, but you would never ever use them for the main foundation of your building.
So, we've got our blueprint, we've got our high-quality materials. Now it's finally time for the actual construction. Welcome to stage 4, assembling the causal story. We're not just stacking facts on top of each other here. We're connecting them to explain not just what happened, but how and why.
And the master tool for this is process tracing. Okay, put on your detective hat because this is some real investigative work. It's a method for cracking open that black box of causality. It goes way beyond just saying X causes Y. Instead, it meticulously traces the step-by-step chain of events that connects them, hunting for diagnostic evidence along the way.
And to weigh all the clues it finds, this detective work uses 4 very distinct tests. A straw in the wind test, that's a weak clue, it's interesting, but it's not proof. A hoop test is a hurdle your theory has to clear. If it can't pass it, your theory is done. Then you've got the smoking gun. Now we're talking. This is a clue that gives you strong confirmation. And the holy grail, the ultimate prize, is the doubly decisive test. This is that incredibly rare piece of evidence that not only proves your theory, but it disproves all the others at the same time. Amazing stuff.
All right, our structure is built, the causal story is assembled. This brings us to our 5th and final stage, connecting research to the world. I mean, a brilliant building is totally useless if it's just sitting isolated on a hill somewhere. It has to connect to the world. It has to have real-world relevance. To do this, we need to understand 2 key ideas, policy transfer and contextual comparison. Policy transfer is like trying to take a beautiful building design from, say, a hot desert and just plopping it down in a freezing Arctic tundra. You can't just copy-paste the blueprint. Contextual comparison is that crucial first step, where you understand why that design worked so well in the desert, the climate, the soil, everything, before you even dream of building it somewhere new.
And this really gets to the heart of it all. We're always told, don't compare apples and oranges. But the architectural approach says, oh yes you can, as long as you compare the apple in its ecosystem to the orange in its ecosystem. You have to understand the entire environment. For a research architect, context is everything.
So there we have it. We've gone through the whole process, from the initial blueprint all the way to the final construction. Let's put it all together in one final roadmap.
And here it is, the complete architectural plan. This roadmap just shows you how every tool fits a specific phase of the project. You start your planning by finding the gaps with an EGM. You map out the existing literature with thematic clustering. You choose your materials and build that causal story using the evidence pyramid and process tracing. And finally, you connect your beautiful structure to the real world with contextual analysis. See? Every tool has its perfect place in building a powerful, lasting argument.
And that brings us to one final thought I want to leave you with. As you go about your day, reading the news, listening to experts, consuming all this information, I want you to ask yourself this. What hidden architecture is shaping the knowledge you trust every single day? And maybe more importantly, is it built on a solid foundation?